If you're looking to grow on Instagram, you gotta be posting consistently. I know it's hard, but it's kind of something you gotta do. And what makes it even harder to keep up with posting is when your organization is kind of out of whack and you don't really have a system. So what I'm gonna go through today is my exact step-by-step process of how I film, edit, and post my reels so that I'm able to stay consistent on Instagram without like completely burning out. But first, I just wanna say, hi, if you're new here, my name is Sarah and I post social media tips for business owners and content creators or whoever else wants to grow on social media. So if you like that kind of stuff, make sure to subscribe because I post new videos every single week. So I'm gonna break this video down into 4 different parts. Part 1 is all about content ideas and how I sort of organize that aspect. Part 2 is filming, part 3 is editing, and part 4 is posting. So let's start with content ideas. Now I could do a whole video on just different ways to generate content ideas and come up with different things to post. So if you want to see that, make sure to let me know in the comments. However, I want to talk mainly about how I organize my content ideas to set myself up for success. If I'm being honest, I personally am a little bit scattered sometimes when it comes to my own organization, but I do something completely different for my clients because I like for them to be super organized. And so I'm going to explain both methods of what I do, and hopefully you can find one that works for you. So when it comes to me, I tend to think of ideas kind of on the go. And so what works well for me is to write down my ideas in a note on my phone. I find that if I try to use something like a task management software or even a Google Sheet, it can be hard for me because it's not so easy for me to write down. Like I have to like go into the Google app or whatever. And so I like to just have it right on my phone. I feel that that works best for me. If you are someone who likes to be more organized and maybe have a clearer system, and this is what I do for my clients as well, is I simply just use Google Sheets to create a content calendar. A very, very basic content calendar laying out the date of when the piece of content is going to be posted, as well as the type of content that's going to be posted, the audio, the text, the caption, all the things laid out on this one sheet. This way it's all laid out and there's really no thought that has to go into it when it's time to start filming. Another way that I like to collect different content ideas is right on Instagram itself. Instagram has this awesome thing called collections where whenever you save something, so you click the little bookmark icon, you can actually save it into a specific folder where you're able to categorize the different things that you save. And so if you're looking to save different posts to come up with content ideas, I recommend having 2 different folders inside of your Instagram collections. One that's called content ideas, and this is where you're literally going to be collecting different pieces of content from people within your niche that then you can go and recreate. And the second folder that I recommend is called trends, and this would be where you collect different trending audios, different song ideas that maybe you could use in the future, all that sort of stuff, lip syncs, things like that, where the actual content might not relate to your niche, but the lip sync or the song is something that you can easily recreate. So now that we have our ideas organized and we have some sort of a plan, it's time to get to the actual filming part of this process. I personally like to film in batches, and I always recommend that my clients do this as well. Listen, if you like to film every single day, you do that. But for me personally, I cannot, look pretty every day, like stand in front of a camera. So I like to film either at the beginning of the week or just pick one day to get a whole bunch done. This way I don't have to be constantly feeling my best every single day and filming reels. This is what works for me personally when it comes to batching reels, but of course this may not work for you. So go ahead and listen, but if you don't feel like doing this, that is totally fine. I personally batch my 2 different content types on 2 different days. And let me explain what that means. So I typically post a mix of talking reels where I'm just sitting, talking to the camera, kind of like I'm doing right now on YouTube, and also trending audios, lip syncs, all the easier stuff to typically film where you're kind of just like standing there, lip syncing to something, all that jazz. I don't know why, but I just like to film these types of videos on 2 separate days. This way my mind is very, very focused when I have to do the talking reels, and I can be a little more silly and like not as, focused to do the trending audio reels. Not to mention, for some of my talking reels, I like to have like a mic. There's just a little bit more setup that goes into that. And so that's why I typically do it on 2 different days, but of course you do not need to do that. So again, the idea of batching is filming everything on one day or maybe 2 days if you're like me. And this way you have tons of different reels that are in your drafts or in your camera roll that then you can post throughout the week. So moving on from filming, now we actually get into the editing aspect of this journey. So when it comes to editing, I mean, there is a whole video that I can create about this, and I definitely will, because I know that editing apps and all that kind of stuff is a huge topic. You know, how do I actually edit the reels? So stay tuned for that, because I definitely will be posting a video all about my favorite editing apps, yada, yada, yada. But I really want to break down the 3 different methods that you can use for getting all of these reels that now you've filmed edited so that they're ready to post. So the 3 methods are: 1, edit before you post; 2, edit all in one day; or 3, hire an editor to do it for you. So if you're going with option 1, this may be a little more for the people like me who are a little bit chaotic and not so organized. This is where you're editing right before you post. So again, you have all of these videos in your drafts, in your camera roll, ready to go, already filmed. But now you need to figure out the text that goes on top, the music that goes on top, all these sort of extra things. You would be doing all of this right before you post. So like, you wake up, you pick out the reel that you want, you add the text, and then you post it. Again, it's for the less organized of us. Now, if you're like, yeah, that's totally not gonna work for me, I don't blame you. And so what I'd recommend for you is possibly something like editing all in one day. So just like you picked a day to batch film your reels, you're also gonna have a dedicated day to batch editing your reels. So maybe you film on Monday, and then on Tuesday, you spend an hour or whatever sitting there adding all the text onto your reels, adding all the music, all the things. This would make it really easy for you, because now during the week, you don't have to worry about editing, blah, 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 blah. Like, all the reels are literally fully done for you, and you just post them throughout the week whenever you want to. And the third option when it comes to editing would be to hire an editor. Now, I'm always a fan of this, because I think that when you waste time doing things like editing, you're not able to dedicate that time to things like growing your business or growing your page. Like, you're just kind of maintaining your Instagram rather than like growing it. You know what I'm saying? My team does help with editing, and what we do for our clients is maybe they'll send us all of their reels on one day. We'll get it edited for them, and now this way they don't have to worry about it. They can just post them and not have to worry about the actual editing process. If you want to learn more about how my team could possibly help you with something like editing, I'm going to leave the link in the description of our services and how to work together. Now, when it comes to actually what to write on the posts, I mean, there are tons of different ways to come up with this. What I would suggest is just going back to your list of content ideas, whether in your phone notes or Google Sheets or whatever you're using. If you're keeping this running list going, now you have this video with this like trending audio. You're like, okay, now what do I write on it? Like, what kind of content is this gonna say? That's where you go back to your running list of ideas and just pick one out, put it on top, and you're good to go. So that's pretty much it on the editing process. Again, if you want a full video on how I actually edit my reels, let me know in the comments and I will definitely create that. And the final step to this process is actually posting. So now that you have all of these reels, you obviously want to be posting consistently. Of course, that can take a lot of time on your hands. And so I'm gonna give you 3 different options for how you can actually be posting your reels, carousels, whatever, consistently. Number 1 would be to post manually. Number 2 would be to use a scheduler. Or number 3 would be to hire a social media manager. So if you're going with option 1, posting manually, this would basically mean that you need to do the work of making sure that you are posting every single day, or at least as consistently as your goal is. Of course, like I said, this does take time, and so I want to explain the other options as well in case you're like, heck no, I literally cannot do that every single day. You're crazy. So option 2 when it comes to posting is to use some sort of scheduling software. This includes apps like Later or Metricool, or even like the Meta Business Suite. Essentially what these apps do is you can pre-schedule all of your content to be posted on whichever days you want it to be. So you hop into one of these websites, you schedule out your content, write all the caption, whatever you need, and then you're able to actually auto-schedule the posts to go out on the certain day. Now, it does sound like a good idea, and it can be great for a lot of people. However, the one downside that I have to using these scheduling apps is that when it comes to growing on Instagram, especially if your engagement is not exactly where you want it to be, then you want to make sure that at the time that you're posting, you're answering comments, you're messaging people, you are engaging on other posts, commenting on other posts, all that sort of stuff, because that's what's going to really help you grow. And when it comes to these scheduling apps, if you're simply just posting and ghosting, like I like to call it, then you're not taking that time to actually put in that engagement, which will help you grow. So that's the only downside to using a scheduling app. And of course, you also want to make sure that you're always using a scheduling app that is affiliated with Instagram. I know for a fact that Later is. I also know that obviously the Meta Business Suite is. So just make sure that you're using an app like that. This way you're not doing anything that's gonna hurt your account in the long run. Now, to alleviate all of the stress of what I just mentioned with the scheduling apps, another option would be to hire a social media manager. Again, I wanna go back to the principle that if you're spending time maintaining your social media or maintaining your business and you're wasting hours and hours and hours doing this, it's really hard to actually do the things that grow your business and grow your social media. And so this is where a social media manager would step in. For example, my team, what we do for our clients is basically come up with the content ideas, do all the editing, do all the posting, write all the captions, like basically handle all of it. Not fully hands off, but pretty hands off. Now, whether you decide to manually post or use a scheduling app or use a social media manager, one of the biggest questions that I get asked is what time should I actually be posting? Like, is there a perfect time? You see all of these things pop up on Instagram, like you gotta post at 6 a.m. on the dot on a Thursday when there's a full moon. Like, it just seems ridiculous. So I did make an entire video on what the best time to post is. It's gonna be up in the up here thing, and it's also gonna be down in the description in case you wanna watch that video. When it comes to posting, me personally, for my accounts, I do post manually every day because I devote the time to do that. But on my TikTok and on my YouTube shorts, I do not do it myself. I actually have someone on my team who is doing that every single day for me because, again, I can't do it all. And so if I were to recommend one thing to you, it would be to at least consider some sort of help when it comes to social media, because it really does free up a ton of time for you and allows you to devote your time to doing something to actually help you and build your business and all the things. Even social media managers need social media managers, okay? So it's not too far off to think that you might want one too. With that being said, I know that was a lot, but I want to invite you to ask any questions down in the comments because I know that it can feel really confusing and overwhelming to do this every day and what process do I use? So I hope that this helped and at least gave you some options. And as I said, if you have any questions at all, feel free to leave them in the comments. Before you go, I want to invite you to check out my free profile checklist. While saying all these things, I was thinking you can post every single day and that's great. But if your profile is not set up for success, it can be really hard to turn any viewers into actual followers. And so that's the goal with this profile checklist, just listing everything out that you need to have in your profile. It is totally free and you can get it right in the description box below. Well, it seems like my work is done here. Like I said, check out the things in the description box after this video. You can also check out my Instagram, my TikTok, a link for how to work together. All the things are down there. As always, if you liked this video, make sure to like it and subscribe because it really helps me out and helps me to create more videos just like this. Thank you so much for watching this video and for supporting my channel. I want to encourage you to watch this video next. It's all about what the best time to post on Instagram is. Like we talked about, posting every day is great, but finding your best time can be even better for your success. So make sure to click here, check that video out, and I will see you soon. Bye.